Hello everyone, and today I'll be reading a Kinich listener by me. So let's get into it. The petals fluttered from your lips, like the last remnants of hope, delicate and fragrant, but a curse in disguise. Hanahaki, that love that was unrequited, festering like a disease in your heart, pushing the blooms up your throat until you could barely breathe. Each petal a reminder of what you couldn't have, of the secret that you carried within you. You had been avoiding Kinich for a while, but you couldn't do it forever. Not when you were so close, and not when you had so many questions. You didn't want to hurt his feelings, and a small part of you just wanted to indulge in the friendship that you had, even if it couldn't be anything more. He smiled at you, softly, and it was genuine and effortless. You tried to mirror it with one of your own, even though the edges of your vision blurred with the pain of your secret. Today was an extremely hard day, and he knew it would only get worse in the future. You're quieter than usual today. Something on your mind? Kinich remarked, his voice laced with concern, as he tilted his head slightly. Your heart clenched at his words, the concern in his gaze making it worse. If only he knew. If only he knew that every word he spoke, every smile he gifted you, fit the vines coiling around your insides, making it harder to breathe, to exist. You cleared your throat, feeling the familiar tickle, and quickly turned away, pretending to admire the flowers that grew in the meadow you too often visited. The irony of that wasn't lost on you, no. Flowers, everywhere, inside and out. How long could you keep this from him? And just how long did you have left? I'm fine, just tired, I guess. You lied, forcing a smile as you kept your back to him. Tired? Why on? You don't seem simply tired. For a while now, that has not been the case. I need you to tell me if there is something that's wrong. You don't have to hide it from me. He sighed softly and shook your head. Hiding things from him was a difficult ordeal, and if you were able to do it for a while, you knew you couldn't keep it forever. Eventually he would find out. And right now, as you felt his hand on your shoulder, gentle, you wondered just how much he knew. But you couldn't break. You couldn't, not in front of him. I'm not hiding anything. You managed, your voice hoarse, and you risked a glance at him, regretting it immediately when you saw the worry etched into his features. He had always been able to read you well, and that, more than anything else right now, terrified you. As his brows furrowed, and he looked deeply at you. You're lying. There was no accusation in his voice, just quiet concern, but it cut through you like a knife. How could he be so kind to you? How could he care so much and yet be so blind for the feelings that you had for him? Was it simply because of how good you were at pretending? Or just because he didn't feel the same at all? He couldn't see something he didn't feel, perhaps. And as he turned away again, this time more forcefully, shrugging off his hand, you sighed. I said I'm fine, Kinich. Just let it go. But he would not let it go. He never would, and he knew that. He stepped closer, his voice barely above a whisper now. You can trust me, Ryan. Please. You took a shaky breath at his words, feeling the petals rise on your throat again, and this time you couldn't stop them. You clamped a hand over your mouth, eyes wide with panic, but it was too late. A few small, delicate petals slipped between your fingers, falling to the ground, like a confession that you had not meant to give. His eyes widened, confusion flickering across his face, before realization finally settled. Leon, how long have you had this? How long have you been hiding this from us? You stood still, watching the grief on his face. You couldn't find the words. You couldn't say a single thing. He wrapped an arm around you, holding you close, and you could see the horror in his eyes. The horror that simply came with the idea of losing you. Don't answer that then. Tell me, who is it? Who do you love? Have you tried confessing? Have you tried anything at all? You couldn't hold his gaze. Not like this. Not when he was so desperate and the truth was laid bare between you, fragile and terrible. It's not so easy. I'm in love with someone who doesn't love me back. His breath hitched, and for the first time you saw something flicker across his face. Something like pain. Who? Who do you love, Ryan? He didn't want to say it, but the petals, the pain, the weight on your chest, and the insistent questions from him, they were all too much. And you finally met his eyes, tears brimming in your own, as you finally let the truth spill from your lips. I love you, Kinich. I've loved you for so long, and it's killing me. For a moment, there was only silence, and you had ruined everything. You knew that. He didn't love you. He couldn't. And now, he knew. But then, he did something you had not expected. He stepped closer, cupping your face with both hands, his golden eyes burning with an intensity you'd never seen before. Leon, you're wrong. What? He shook his head, his thumbs brushing away the tears that spilled down your cheeks. You're wrong. I do love you. I've loved you for so long, but I thought I didn't want you to be in pain with me. I live a dangerous life, and I know you would not feel at peace with that. So in the end, when I waited out, I wasn't even sure that you loved me then. But I never wanted to make you suffer, Ryan. I didn't want to drag you into a life you didn't want. Your heart stuttered in your chest. The petals lodged in your throat, suddenly less suffocating. You tried to say something, anything, but then you broke down, hugging him tightly. He had always loved you. He loved you. Kinich pulled you into his arms strongly, holding you so tightly as if he was afraid you might disappear. I'm so sorry, he whispered against your hair. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. You shook your head, clinging to him, your heart finally finding peace in his embrace. There were many things that you had to share with each other, many things that needed to be known. But for now, you were at peace, and at last, That stupid curse, that illness that plagued you and threatened to end your life, was finally gone, and your heart was stronger than ever, knowing that out there, another heart was beating for it as well.